There is something following you. You have felt it, in the silence between tasks, in the midnight waking when the room is dark and your chest is heavy for reasons you cannot name, in the dream that returns wearing different clothes but carrying the same feeling. You have been running from something, and the faster you move, the closer it seems to get. But what if the thing chasing you is not trying to destroy you? What if it is trying to deliver something you desperately need? We treat haunting like an enemy, like something to outpace, outdrink, outwork. We build elaborate lives designed around never having to stop and face whatever it is that lives in the peripheral edges of our awareness. And we are very good at it. The world offers endless corridors to disappear down. But notice what happens in the spaces you cannot fill. Notice what surfaces the moment the noise stops. That is not a threat. That is a signal. The psyche does not haunt you out of cruelty. It haunts you out of loyalty. Everything you have buried, every wound that was too sharp to hold, every grief that was too large to be witnessed, every version of yourself that was told it was too much or not enough, none of it simply vanished. You just stopped looking at it. And because it could not speak to you directly, because you had sealed every door, it learned to speak in shadows, in recurring patterns, in the relationships that pull you back into the same unbearable dynamic, in the rage that arrives disproportionate to the moment, in the numbness that wraps itself around you when love gets too close. These are not malfunctions. These are messages written in the only language you left available. Think about what you avoid most consistently, not the surface avoidance, the deeper kind. The conversation you have been postponing, the creative longing you dismiss as impractical before you even let yourself feel it fully, the grief you intellectualize but never actually sit inside of, the quietness in yourself that you are afraid to meet because you do not know what you will find there. Whatever lives in those spaces is not waiting to punish you. It is waiting to be heard. Suppression is not erasure. When we push something below the surface of our awareness, we do not eliminate it. We simply relocate it. And in its new underground home, it does not weaken. It grows roots. It learns to move through us in ways we do not recognize as it, emerging as anxiety, as self-sabotage, as the inexplicable weight that follows you into otherwise good days. The haunting is the suppressed material pressing upward, looking for the exit. The thing you fear most about facing it is almost never what is actually there. The mind, in its effort to protect you, builds enormous scaffolding around the wound. It surrounds the real thing with so much dread and warning and elaborate avoidance architecture that the wound begins to seem unsurvivable. But underneath all of that construction, underneath the layers of protection you built at an age when you had no other tools, is something much more human than monstrous. There is grief there, yes. There is an old anger looking for its rightful address. There is a younger version of you that never got to finish something important. And that version of you is not haunting you to make you suffer. It is haunting you because it still needs something you have never given it. The question worth sitting with is not how do I make this stop? The question is, what is this trying to tell me that I have not yet been willing to hear? Because the haunting carries specific information. It is not vague. It points. It returns to the same rooms, the same emotional habits, the same categories of experience. And that repetition is directional. It is pointing you toward the unfinished. To face the haunting is not to be consumed by it. It is to turn around slowly and say, I am no longer running. I am listening. It is to allow what was buried to surface, not because surfacing is painless, but because it is the only path through. You cannot heal what you will not acknowledge. You cannot integrate what you keep in exile. The parts of you that haunt you are the parts of you that were never allowed to exist fully. They were pushed underground, not because they were wrong, but because at the time, there was no safe place for them to land. And now, they are asking you, with everything they have, to be that safe place, to be for yourself the witness you never had. When you stop running, something shifts. The haunting does not disappear immediately, but it changes character. It moves from pursuing to communicating, and in that communication is the most precise map you will ever be given toward your own healing. Every recurring fear is a doorway. Every pattern that exhausts you is a teacher. Every shadow that follows you is carrying a light it has been waiting years to hand over. The thing that haunts you is not your enemy dressed in darkness. It is your wholeness, fragmented and patient, calling you back to itself. The question was never how to silence it. The question was always whether you were finally ready to listen. You are still here. That means something. Turn around.